everybody, welcome to our Friday afternoon craft where we're going to be teaching you how to make this really fun stormwater maze. So this is our amazing craft, and with all the rain we've had the last few weeks, we've been thinking a lot about runoff and what happens when that water from the streets gathers and goes into storm drains. And you can always be a part of helping protect water quality by adopting a storm drain at adoptadrain-elgrow.org. But we're going to make a fun craft today where you can create your own maze to show how stormwater moves through pipes underground, and then we're going to at the end play a really fun game. So what I want to show you first is where we're going, so what this maze will look like. So I created this maze, and it's on a piece of paperboard. So like Evie's that she started working on here is just from like a Cheez-It box. So it's a thin poster board, but we're going to be manipulating water through the maze, kind of like a marble maze. And so I'm kind of holding on to it with this book behind it because otherwise it wasn't quite strong enough. So on our maze, you can see a few interesting things. We have a start and we have a finish. The start, as you can see, is a raindrop going into a storm drain. And then this maze area is the pipes underground that once your water goes into your storm drain, it goes through pipes underground that take it not to the wastewater treatment plant. In West Michigan here, all of our storm drains lead directly out this pipe at the bottom to what you can see I've labeled as the Grand River. And on the way, once your drop of water goes in the drain, on the way through those pipes, you can see that it gets other storm drains adding water to it. And every time another storm drain adds water to the pipe, you can see that something could happen. And along the top here, I drew some little pictures of different types of things that might contribute to what happens in that drain and how clean that water is. So first we're going to demonstrate for you how this maze works, and then secondly I'm going to show you how to make your own. So, Evie is helping me adjust my camera. Thank you, dear. Okay, it's still a little crooked, but Evelyn, let's demonstrate the maze. Would you like to be the one who has the water go through the maze? Okay, so could you come over here and hold it up in front of the camera? You might need to come around the table, maybe stand where I am right now. So what we're going to do, we have this maze, and then we have a little cup of water, and we have a little dropper. You don't have to use a dropper, you could just use a little, any small cup to pour the water in. So Ev, your job is going to be to hang on to the maze, and I'm actually going to be in charge of the camera. Hang on a second, guys. I'm going to see if I can flip. I can't flip it. I'm just going to show it to you. Okay. Evie's got the maze, and I'm going to fill my dropper with water. And I'm going to pour it down the start. And her job is going to be to move the drop of water through the maze. Whoops, sorry. I don't mean to make you sick there. Ready? Okay. So dump the maze around, trying to get the water out. You might need more water. Sorry, guys. She's moving it out of the way. So what do you notice about the color of the water as it gets to the bottom, Evie?
It's a different color.
Yeah. Let me put this back in this little holder here so that we have a steadier view. So what you saw is as she was moving that water through the maze, it picked up some of this color that was in the pipes. And that color was next to the storm drains, and it represents some of the things that get picked up in runoff water while you are, oops, you come out the bottom there, while it runs into storm drains. And we're going to play a little game where you'll see some of that stuff. But you can see along the top we've got cars. So things like brake dust or fluids out of your car. You've got your house with your really nice green lawn, maybe lots of fertilizer. You've got your dog who left a little pile next to the drain that didn't get cleaned up. You've got household chemicals or paint. And all of these things right next to storm drains can contribute to making your water not quite as clean when it comes out the drain as it was when it went in. So this was our kind of prototype maze, so you can see it leaked a little bit. We're going to show you how to create your own maze that will hopefully not leak quite as much. So to make your own stormwater maze, like this one, you start with a piece of paperboard. If you have thicker cardboard, like Amazon boxes or something, that would work really good. Cut out really whatever size you want. And then on that, you can draw with pencil what you want your maze to look like. This is what Lydia's maze looks like that she's been working on. So Evie has already done that. See, hers, like I said, is just a Cheez-It box. She drew out her maze with a pencil, and then she drew over it with Sharpie, and then she covered it with, this is just a piece of wax paper. And that wax paper will help protect your paperboard from getting soaked. So we put the piece of wax paper over it, and then you can see she's starting to trace at the start a little storm drain and a drop of water, and then the finish, the pipe. And then there's a couple different options for how you can create the actual walls of the maze. I used just modeling clay that I had at home and kind of let it dry and then painted over it with Mod Podge to try to seal it. But as you saw, I didn't get all the cracks, so I might go back and do a better job of trying to seal it. Evelyn yesterday created some salt dough. So the other thing you can do to build the walls of your maze is to make your own salt dough. And this is a really easy recipe. What were the ingredients?
Flour, oil, salt, and water.
Okay, flour, oil, salt, and water. And with salt dough, you can either let it lay out and dry on its own, or you can bake it. I probably wouldn't put this in the oven with the wax paper and the cardboard, but then you take your dough. So this might be a multi-day project to create your own maze. I also will link after the video in the comments a couple of fun resources online where you could print out a maze if you want to do a maze or a word search of your own. So roll it out like a little snake, and then you'll place it along the lines of your maze on your paper. So let me show you how that's going. So she made it into a little snake, and then she's sticking it on to make the walls of the pipes. Make sure you stick it all the way down. That's why mine leaked a little bit. I didn't glue it down quite all the way. And you'll go around and you'll do that the whole way around. Should we do a little bit more to show everybody?
Mama, I want to make a storm drain too.
She wants to make a storm drain too. Did you hear that? It was so cute. And so what you'll have eventually is your whole maze. And I do recommend drawing on the inside with the Sharpie so you can see it through the wax paper. It makes these little tunnels. And you can make the maze whatever design you want, whatever works for you. Evelyn came up with her own design. I came up with my own design. And then once your maze is finished, like mine, what you'll do is find either a little bit of watercolor paint or use a paintbrush and get a little bit of food coloring and dab it on at some of like the junctures in the maze. And what that'll do is as the water drains through the maze, it'll pick up some of that color on its way down. And then you can decorate your maze however you want with cute little pictures and whatever else is in there. You can put whatever river you want at the bottom, but that helps you kind of visualize how water goes through this whole system of pipes that's actually underground and we don't really see it. And that as water joins that system from all different places. So let me know if you make your own maze, how it goes, how you like it. Evelyn's going to continue working on hers. We'll show you a picture of it when it's done. And now I want to show you guys a fun game that we came up with to, if you want to get outside and do something a little more active. So, I'm going to switch the camera around a second. Evelyn and Lydia, do you want to come help me show how to play the outside game? And we'll come back and finish the mazes? Okay. So we took this maze idea and we decided to make a game out of it. And this game is kind of a hybrid of a game I sometimes do about the water cycle and the maze activity. So what we did is we made a little path on our driveway. And this path, you know, most people probably would use chalk, but we only had as much chalk as you can see made this thin blue line, and then it was gone. So we made this path out of rocks we had lying around. And at each juncture in the path is some type of non-point source pollutant, something that can cause pollution in our waterway. So this location has some soil that's not protected that could wash into our storm drains. This part has a rainbow poop, which, you know, maybe rainbow poop isn't as bad as regular poop for water quality, but still not good. This has some fertilizer, like if I fertilize my lawn way too much, way more than I needed. This stop has some pest control chemicals that if I over-applied them could really harm water quality. This stop has some brake fluid, so that represents fluids from my car that could cause problems. This stop has salt. This is not the kind of salt you put on your driveway, but it's representing that kind of salt. And then the last stop has paint. And so these are all chemicals and pollutants that you might find around your house that can harm water quality and that could get washed into storm drains. So, Maisie, do you want to play the game?
Yeah.
Okay, head out to the beginning. All the kids are going to take on the role of a raindrop. And each raindrop, May, you can pick up one of those pipe cleaners. Each raindrop starts its life in the stormwater system with a little fuzzy pipe cleaner. And on their way, they have to stop at each of these pollutants because their raindrop rolled over that pollutant on its way into the water. And when they stop at that, pollutant, they have to pick up a bead. The bead represents the pollutant and put it on their pipe cleaner. They're kind of all going at once. Maybe I would consider staggering them. The other thing you could do, I just didn't make as good of a maze as I could have, but you could make it an actual maze so that there was different paths for them to go on so that they wouldn't all be stuck in the same place. So our little raindrops, it's okay, she can take two if there's like a lot of dirt that's washing into the drain. They're coming through, they're picking up pollution as they're washing across the surface of the land. And these little raindrops, the other thing you can think about is how there's more and more water being added to the system the longer it rains. So it's not just one little raindrop that has a bunch of pollution on its little furry stick here. It could be a bunch of hundreds of raindrops, a whole bunch of water. All right, this raindrop is ahead of the others. She's almost to the end. And after this bucket of paint, this blue line will represent the Grand River. We actually live by the Thornapple River, so maybe this will represent the Thornapple River for us. And May, when you get to the end, will you show me what's on your little fuzzy stick here? Pipe cleaner, I always forget what these things are called. So these beads, you might see the backs of them have labels. They're repurposed from a water cycle activity that we do sometimes. Because that's so, I don't know, the colors got mixed up. You can choose purple if you want. All right, come show me your little raindrop, May. So May's a little raindrop, and she just went through maybe even just my yard or just a neighborhood and ends up at the end with all these different pollution sources. So she could soak up all that stuff that's not good for water quality, bring it into the Grand River or the Thornapple River and harm water quality. So some things that she could do to try to not pollute the river would be to make sure that we always take care of our household hazardous waste properly. Things like paint, bring it to the recycling center to take care of it to a hazardous waste drop-off point. Don't use too much salt in the winter.
Hey, she used 2 of all of
Make sure your cars are in good shape so you don't leak fluids on the ground. Make sure you're always using chemicals according to the directions on the package, not overusing them. The same goes with fertilizer. If you have a dog, make sure you're always picking up after it when you go for a walk. And try to keep soil covered so that it doesn't get eroded when you have a big rainstorm. Oh, Evelyn's showing me hers. And this is one of the things you can do. When you're done, you got your little pollution bracelet, and you can make it into a little bracelet and wear it to help you remember what you learned during your activity. So if you happen to have pipe cleaners and beads lying around, you can do the activity that way, but you don't have to. You can do it using whatever you find in your own home. So I hope you enjoyed this activity. I hope it gave you some ideas to get outside and enjoy our watershed. And if you haven't yet, head over to our website and adopt a drain and let us know what fun name you gave it. Have a great Memorial Day weekend, everybody. We'll see you next week.